future demanded clarity. The Dallas Cowboys are no strangers to pressure, but what looms ahead of the 2026 season is not just competitive tension. It is an identity test. This franchise has always lived in the space between legacy and expectation, between the echoes of 5 Super Bowl rings and the harsh reality of a league that punishes nostalgia. Every roster decision now carries the weight of history, and every dollar spent or saved could determine whether the Cowboys finally evolve or remain trapped in a cycle of almost. The conversation begins, inevitably, with the salary cap. For years, Dallas has walked a tightrope between rewarding proven veterans and preserving flexibility for the future. That balancing act has finally caught up with the front office. The rumored decision to move on from Kenny Clark is not merely a football move, it is a philosophical statement. Cutting ties with a veteran of his stature sends shockwaves because it challenges the emotional bond fans form with players who have worn the star through battles, injuries, and playoff heartbreaks. Yet the NFL is not built on sentiment. It is built on efficiency, value, and timing. Saving over $20 million in cap space is not a luxury. It is a weapon, and contenders know when to use it. Last season exposed a harsh truth about the Cowboys' interior defensive investment. The resources poured into the line were meant to create dominance, to collapse pockets, to control games from the inside out. Instead, the results were inconsistent and, in critical moments, insufficient. When a unit fails to justify its cost, tough questions must be asked. Is leadership alone worth elite money? Or does production always have to come first? Moving on from Kenny Clark would hurt, but clinging to an expensive past could hurt more. Championship teams are often defined by the veterans they let go, not just the stars they retain. While the defense wrestles with financial reality, the offense faces a different kind of threat, external pressure from rivals eager to exploit uncertainty. George Pickens represents more than a wide receiver. He is the emotional engine of the Cowboys' passing attack. His breakout season, punctuated by an elite PFF grade and highlight reel catches, placed him firmly among the league's premier playmakers. Losing him would not just weaken the depth chart. It would fracture the offensive identity Dallas has worked so hard to build. Free agency is ruthless. Other teams do not care about your plans, your culture, or your long-term vision. They see opportunity, and they strike. The Broncos circling Pickens is a reminder that talent attracts predators. The Cowboys must decide whether they are willing to pay the premium required to keep elite talent in-house. The franchise tag is a short-term solution, a pause button that buys time but not peace. A long-term deal, however, is a declaration, a signal to the locker room and the league that Dallas protects its own. Letting George Pickens walk would echo past mistakes, moments when financial caution overshadowed competitive urgency. The Cowboys cannot afford to repeat history while claiming to chase greatness. Every dynasty understands this simple truth. Stars are not replaceable. Schemes change, coordinators rotate, but elite players anchor eras. Pickens is that kind of player, and the cost of losing him would ripple through the offense for years. As the wide receiver situation demands financial commitment, the running back position tells a different story, one of restraint, creativity, and strategic discipline. The modern NFL has redefined the value of running backs, and Dallas has learned this lesson the hard way. Overpaying for pass production has consistently limited roster flexibility, forcing compromises elsewhere. The blueprint now is clear: find efficiency, not headlines. Tyler Allgeier embodies that philosophy. Quietly productive in Atlanta, he has thrived without fanfare, delivering consistent yardage with a physical style that wears down defenses. He may not dominate national conversations, but his film tells a story of vision, balance, and toughness, traits that translate seamlessly into Dallas' inside zone scheme. At a projected cost that barely dents the cap, Allgeier represents the kind of smart acquisition that allows contenders to allocate resources where they matter most. Replacing a 1,200-yard rusher is never simple, but it is necessary when the market inflates value beyond reason. Dallas does not need flash in the backfield. It needs reliability. Allgeier offers that, and in doing so, he frees the front office from repeating the mistakes of emotional spending. This is how modern teams stay competitive, by investing in systems, not just names. The offensive conversation, however, cannot exist in isolation. Football remains a complementary game, and Dallas learned painfully in 2025 that offensive firepower means little when the defense collapses under pressure. The secondary, in particular, became a liability, exposed week after week by disciplined quarterbacks and creative play callers. Coverage busts, missed assignments, and a lack of communication defined too many Sundays. Fixing that unit is not optional, it is foundational. This is where the potential addition of Reed Blankenship enters the narrative. Familiarity matters in football, especially in the defensive backfield, where trust and communication are everything. Blankenship's prior connection with Christian Parker provides more than comfort. It offers continuity. Despite a difficult season in Philadelphia, his earlier production demonstrated instincts and discipline that align with what Dallas desperately needs. A reunion would not be a gamble. It would be a calculated attempt to stabilize a fractured unit. Culture change does not happen overnight. It begins with accountability, clarity, and players who understand expectations before they step onto the field. Bringing in defenders who already know the system accelerates that process. It allows coaches to teach nuance instead of basics, to refine instead of rebuild from scratch. For a secondary that has lacked identity, this kind of familiarity could be transformative. Behind all these moves looms the shadow of leadership. Jerry Jones has never shied away from bold decisions, but boldness must now be paired with precision. The league has evolved, and the Cowboys must evolve with it. This offseason is not about winning headlines in March. It is about building a roster capable of surviving January. Every contract, every cut, every signing must serve that purpose. The fans feel it. Cowboys Nation understands that the window is fragile. Patience has worn thin, but hope remains stubbornly alive. The choices made now will define not just the 2026 season, but how this era of Cowboys football is remembered. Will it be an era of wasted potential, or the turning point that finally aligned talent, discipline, and vision? The NFL does not wait. Rivals will act, markets will shift, and opportunities will vanish as quickly as they appear. Dallas must decide who it is willing to fight for, who it is willing to let go, and what kind of team it wants to become. This is the crossroads. Legacy is not preserved by standing still. It is earned by adapting when the moment demands it, and to be willing to pay the price for known production. Historically, the Cowboys have been careful with their money. They prefer to find value rather than chase star names. But Jerry Jones, the team's owner, has recently made statements that hint at a shift in philosophy. Quotes like "bust the budget," "finances are no object," and "we're not saving in our back pocket" suggest that Dallas may finally be ready to spend big to improve the team immediately. In a league where every playoff spot is fiercely contested, being able to sign proven talent can make the difference between a good season and a championship run. One player whose name has repeatedly come up in discussions is Trey Hendrickson, defensive end for the Cincinnati Bengals. CBS Sports' Garrett Podale ranks Hendrickson as the number 2 free agent in football, and his future with the Bengals appears uncertain. Hendrickson is a proven pass rusher, posting back-to-back 17.5 sack seasons before 2025, which makes him one of the most sought-after defensive ends available. His potential availability makes him a fascinating option for the Cowboys, though there are several important factors to consider. The first and perhaps most obvious factor is money. Trey Hendrickson's market value, according to Spotrac.com, is approximately $25.4 million per year. Realistically, anything below $30 million per year might not be enough to secure a deal. Dallas has a history of caution when it comes to paying for free agents, but Jerry Jones' recent statements indicate that the team may be ready to invest significantly to strengthen the defense. The question becomes whether the Cowboys are willing to spend that kind of money to address their pass-rushing needs, which have been a weakness in recent seasons. Age and durability are additional considerations. Hendrickson will be 31 this offseason. While he is not over the hill, this is certainly an age where teams must evaluate a player's potential decline. Last season, he played only 7 games due to injury, though in the 2 seasons prior, he played every game, demonstrating durability when healthy. Offering a multi-year, high-value contract to a 31-year-old pass rusher carries risk, and Dallas will need to weigh whether the potential impact outweighs the uncertainties related to age and injuries. Contract length is also crucial. Hendrickson is likely to seek a multi-year deal, which could complicate matters for Dallas. The team may prefer a 1-year prove-it arrangement, allowing them to evaluate health and performance before committing long-term. However, offering only a single season might not entice a player of Hendrickson's caliber, particularly if other teams are willing to provide longer-term security. Navigating this balance between securing elite talent and mitigating long-term risk will be a delicate task for the Cowboys front office. If Dallas were to land Hendrickson on a multi-year deal, the impact on Brian Schottenheimer's defense could be immediate and significant. A proven, high-level pass rusher would not only increase the team's sack totals, but could also elevate the performance of other defensive linemen and linebackers, creating opportunities across the defensive front. The presence of a dominant pass rusher can change the way opposing offenses play, forcing quarterbacks to make faster decisions and potentially disrupting game plans. Hendrickson's addition could provide exactly this type of impact, giving the Cowboys a much-needed boost in a key area. Of course, there are trade-offs. Hendrickson is not quite at the level of a player like Max Crosby, who may offer higher production but would require a trade and additional financial investment. Even so, Hendrickson remains an attractive option for Dallas because he represents a balance of proven talent and attainable acquisition cost, assuming the team is willing to pay the price. The Cowboys must weigh the potential production and leadership Hendrickson brings against the risk of age, injuries, and contract cost. Looking at the pros and cons, the advantages are clear. Hendrickson is a proven elite pass rusher who can immediately strengthen the defensive line and potentially elevate younger players around him. He has demonstrated the ability to perform at a high level, producing consistent sack totals over multiple seasons. His presence could be the difference between an average defensive performance and one capable of competing in the playoffs. On the other hand, the cons include his age, the risk of injury recurrence, and the high cost associated with securing his services. Every dollar spent on Hendrickson is a dollar not available for other areas of need, meaning the team must carefully consider whether the investment maximizes overall team improvement. Ultimately, the Cowboys face a pivotal decision this offseason. Will they continue their cautious, value-oriented approach to free agency, or will they embrace a more aggressive strategy, willing to pay top dollar for proven talent? Trey Hendrickson exemplifies the high-reward, moderate-risk type of signing that could define the Cowboys' approach moving forward. His addition would signal a willingness to invest in immediate success and could serve as a blueprint for other moves this offseason. Jerry Jones has emphasized that the team is not holding money back, and this may be the moment to act decisively. If the Cowboys do target Hendrickson, the outcome could be transformative, strengthening the defensive line, improving pass rush pressure, and creating a more balanced team capable of competing at the highest level. Fans and analysts will be watching closely, eager to see whether Dallas takes the step toward a bolder free agency philosophy. The decision to buy the Ferrari, so to speak, will not only impact the upcoming season, but could also set the tone for the franchise's approach to free agency in the years ahead. This offseason, the Dallas Cowboys have the opportunity to reshape their defensive identity. By adding a player like Trey Hendrickson, they could gain an immediate, measurable improvement, bringing proven NFL production and leadership to the team. However, every decision carries risk, and the team must navigate financial constraints, age considerations, and injury history. It is a balancing act between ambition and prudence, a test of whether the Cowboys are ready to embrace a new, bolder approach to building a championship-caliber roster. In the end, the question is simple yet profound. Will Dallas continue its tradition of careful spending, or will they seize the moment to invest in proven talent and make a